Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. So, folks, what is the biggest threat to investors in 2022? Can you guess? Is it the government? Is it inflation? Is it essentially rising interest rates? Well, folks, the biggest threat for investors in 2022 are scams related to cryptocurrency. Yes, folks, you heard that right. Welcome to our channel. My name is Dr. Chhoda with Ignition Time. Now, I want to tell you, my interest in cryptocurrency is restricted to two things. One, I'm an investor in Ethereum, which is a cryptocurrency, and I'm an investor in Coinbase, which is a stock on the US stock exchange. And I essentially look at cryptocurrency as a hedge against future trends, against inflation, and against many other things. So for me, I would say I have about 3 to 4% of my net worth in cryptocurrency, not more, and a significant portion of my personal net worth, I would say 60%, is in real estate, single family homes that generate rent with tenants. About 30% of my net worth is in the stock market. I have some cash and I have about 3 to 5% in cryptocurrency. But the problem is crypto scams are the biggest threat to investors in 2022. Now, I don't recommend that you go out and buy a whole bunch of cryptocurrency with all the money that you have. I definitely don't recommend that. In fact, I have done videos on our channel talking about financial planning, financial management. I believe that all of us should have at least 6 months of expenses set aside. So let's say your monthly expenses are, I'm just going to throw out a number, $3,000. You should have $18,000 in your bank account at all times so that you can meet your monthly expenses for the next 6 months. This way, if there's an emergency, if you lose your job, then you have some sort of a cushion. That should be the number one priority for most of us. After that, let's say you have $5,000 saved. Your goal should be to protect 90% of your money and make sure that you don't lose money. And look for safe investments, look for conservative investments. And if you don't know how to invest, it's okay to have the money lying in a bank account. Now, you can take 10% of your net worth and you can essentially take a flyer with it. You can invest in things that you expect to be rewarding in the future, whether it's cryptocurrency or certain stocks, NFTs, whatever the case might be. But you've got to approach this with a sense of balance. The problem is that investments tied to cryptocurrencies and digital assets are by far the biggest threats facing individual investors in 2022, according to an annual survey of security regulators by the North American Securities Administrators Association. I know that was a mouthful. The bottom line is that if you're investing in cryptocurrency and digital assets, you could be a victim of scams and frauds. There are a lot of frauds tied to promissory notes, money scams offered over the internet and social media, and many frauds involving self-directed individual retirement accounts. And these are the top threats that are being faced by investors. So what is the bottom line? You need to be very careful. In fact, here's a quote from Joseph Rotunda, who's the Texas State Securities Board Enforcement Division Director. Rotunda said this: "Before you jump into the crypto craze, be mindful that cryptocurrencies and other related financial products may be nothing more than public-facing fronts for Ponzi schemes and other frauds." In fact, investors should view investments in cryptocurrency trading programs, crypto mining pools, crypto depository accounts, and securitized tokens for what they are: extremely risky speculation with a high risk of loss. This is extremely important. In fact, according to the release from this organization, fraudsters actually target a different crowd, many senior citizens and retirees who live on fixed incomes. And what they do is that they target these individuals with fraudulent short-term promissory notes, making it the second biggest threat to investors. Now, they guarantee returns like 2% a day, 14% a week, 40% a month. And folks, I think it makes sense to follow the principle. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. In fact, investors should be extremely cautious about promissory notes with terms of 9 months or less, since such notes generally don't have to be registered with federal or state security regulators. So what is the bottom line, folks? There are a lot of crypto scams out there. If your goal is to grow your money, my number one advice to all our viewers and subscribers is look at how much money you have set aside for investments. Now, you can only have money set aside for investments after you have a safety net, a cushion of 6 months of savings. If you don't have 6 months of savings set aside, I'm going to be blunt because my goal is to help you. You have no business investing money. Once you have 6 months of savings set aside, you can now have money set aside for investments, and then you take 10% of the money set aside for investments and you can then invest it in some sort of a quote-unquote risky asset. But 90% of your investments should be in assets that are safe, that will at the very least protect your money, hopefully even grow your money over time. But again, you want to be able to protect your money. That should be your number one priority at all times. I encourage all of our viewers and subscribers to try and protect their money, because the number one goal of money management is not to lose money. And then the number two goal is repeating the number one goal: don't lose money. Your goal should be to protect your investments, to protect your money. And the second goal should be to try and grow it over time. There are many safe ways to do that in the stock market. I mean, if I was investing today, I would buy Warren Buffett stock, Berkshire Hathaway, Berkshire B. I would just buy that. And if you know a thing or two about options trading, I would probably sell call options against that over time to generate a little bit of cash. And I can cover this in more detail in future videos. That is something that you can do and sleep well at night. Now, if you don't want to invest in the stock market, that's fine. Maybe you can use the money to start your own business. Because folks, the two big wealth drivers, the two things that have made Americans rich, that have made many Americans millionaires, multimillionaires, billionaires, the two things are: one, having your own business, and number two, owning real estate. Because when you own real estate and real estate appreciates over time and you generate rent income, that's what allows you to combat inflation. You're not dependent on wage hikes. You're not dependent on promotions, because your income increases by virtue of the rent that you collect. So my recommendation to all our viewers and subscribers is, if you have the ability to start your own business, by all means do it. If you don't, that's okay. Try and find ways to start investing in real estate. That is exactly what I do. My intention is to launch programs on how to invest in the stock market, how to invest in real estate, and how to start your own business. If there's if any one of these programs in particular excite you and you want to see me launch them, just let me know in the comment section below, because I read all the comments. I appreciate you watching. I hope you learned something new from this video. I don't want anyone, not a single viewer or subscriber, to be a victim of any scams, let alone crypto scams, which are being used by fraudsters, by scam artists to scam people, specifically older individuals who are retired, who are living on a fixed income. These are the individuals who most desperately need the money. And unfortunately, these are the individuals who are targeted because they are vulnerable, because they are looking for returns on the money that they have and they don't know what else to do with their money. And I don't want anyone to get scammed, especially someone who's elderly, who's desperate, and who can be scammed easily. In fact, those individuals need to be protected by others around them. Thank you so much for watching. Please click like, please click subscribe, please enable notifications. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.